Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Scott, the enterprise editor at The Sun, 491 Dutton Street, Lowell's great newspaper. With me today is John Drinkwater from Lowell. John is one of the Lowell candidates that's seeking to replace Eileen Donahue as state senator from the 1st Middlesex District. John, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Well, I've been an advocate for public policy throughout my career. I've spent my career working in the labor movement. I'm currently the legislative director for the Mass AFL-CIO. We set an overall legislative agenda, a pro-worker legislative agenda, both that strengthens labor unions in the Commonwealth and also just raises standards for all workers generally, both union and non-union. Coming from an advocacy role, it gives you a pretty unique perspective. And frankly, being down there and working on issues that feel like common sense, as you continually push those, it can get a little frustrating. And I guess my reaction to that is, it made me want to run for office, just to get in there and kind of use that commitment and just laser-like focus to try to get things done and bring it, inside the chamber and the Senate to try to push for some good public policy. When the Senate seat opened up, I had to give it some serious thought. Is it something that I would want to do? Am I willing to put in the work and make the sacrifice to run? Which I decided I thought I could make enough of a difference that it would be worth it. I grew up in a union family. My dad is a pipe fitter, now retired, out of Local 537. My mom is a teacher, now retired. I simply grew up with an appreciation for the fact that the opportunities I've had and the comfortable upbringing that I had were really the result of collective bargaining and union jobs. I went to school at UMass Lowell. I was interested in public policy. I studied political science, and I knew I wanted to spend my career advocating for some sort of positive public policy. And it really just kind of struck me. I saw economic inequality is one of the greatest problems that our state and our nation was facing. And I thought, strengthening unions and building the labor movement was a really great way to address that. I've been a part of the Raise Up Massachusetts coalition that successfully used a ballot measure to get a raise in the minimum wage a few years ago. They went to the ballot to pass an earned sick time law that guarantees workers time off when they're sick or have a sick loved one. And we're now doing the same thing with the Fair Share Amendment to raise some much needed revenue in the state and with another minimum wage. There's been, I think a real recognition, particularly, here in Lowell and statewide, that, we don't have enough money to fully fund public education, and we don't have enough money to, address a lot of the transportation issues we have, like the maintenance backlog at the T. The money's just not there, and I think we can all agree that one of the most fundamental things government can do is provide full funding for education for our kids. So I think that that source of revenue is really the only game in town, and it took a coalition to move it forward. States like West Virginia, Oklahoma, Arizona, where they've been underpaying public employees like teachers for years and years and years, and the story is always, well, there's just not enough money. Well, those teachers decided that enough was enough, and they walked out en masse to protest what essentially was just chronic underpayment for dedicated public servants. I don't think that that's the way to go. Here in Massachusetts, nearly all public employees and all teachers have unions and collective bargaining agreements where they can just sit down across the table and negotiate, fair paying wages.